Hi everybody, I am back and I am going to read to you guys Let My People Go, which should remind you of a song that Miss Kathy sings with us. No, 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 I will not let them go, right? So we're going to read this Passover story, and you can play this video back if you want to watch it again. Okay, so it's called Let My People Go by Tilda Bosley. A burning bush, and it began. As God told Moses, "Here's my plan." But Moses was a simple man. He said, "I just do not think I can." Poor Moses. God would not answer to no. He said, "With Aaron you will go to lead my people from Pharaoh. Tell him that your God said so." So God is asking Moses to go to King Pharaoh. So Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. "Oh, God says, let my people go." And Pharaoh shouted, "No, no, no." A big mistake. He did not know that God would deal a mighty blow. So here is Moses asking King Pharaoh, "A plague, a plague, a plague," Egyptians to the Pharaoh said. "Their God has turned our water red. No more fish, they are all dead. Where's some water we can drink? We cannot stand all of this stink." Then Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. "Oh, God says, please let my people go." And Pharaoh shouted, "No, no, no." So the water turned to red. Remember all the plagues. "A plague, a plague, a plague. Frogs were Pharaoh's next nightmare," he cried. "They're hopping everywhere. Tell God to send the frogs away. Then you can go without delay. They're in my oven, in my bed. I think a frog jumped on my head." So Moses prayed, and the frogs were gone. Then Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. "Our God says, let my people go." But Pharaoh shouted, "No, no, no." So God sent all the frogs to jump all over Pharaoh. And he couldn't stand it anymore. And he said, "Okay, okay," but he was not being honest. "A plague, a plague," Egyptians cried. "Oh no, now gnats covering cows and dogs and cats, covering us from head to toe. Please, Pharaoh, let those people go." Bugs were everywhere. And then Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. "Oh, Lord, God says, please let my people go." And Pharaoh shouted, "No, no, no." Bugs were getting all over all the animals and all over everyone. And Pharaoh was still mean, and he said, "No, I'm not going to let the people go." "A plague." God spread the ground with nasty flies, but Pharaoh answered only lies. "I'll let your people leave this place. Just get these flies out of my face." Was he being honest? No. When Moses said, "It's done, we'll go," Pharaoh shouted, "No, no, no." Do you see the flies? They're everywhere. Flies, flies. That would make me crazy. "A plague, a plague, a plague." Soon animals began to pass. Egyptians pleaded, "Hear our cry, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, why, why, why?" But Pharaoh still could not comply. Then Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. God says, let my people go. Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. All the animals were getting sick and they needed the animals to help them carry stuff and to walk with them and carry them. Uh-oh. A plague, Egyptians moaned and cried in dread to see their skin turn purply red, and nasty boils began to spread, but Pharaoh was an old hard head. When Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh, our God says, let my people go. Pharaoh still shouted, no, no, no. Even with those bumps all over their skin. And they are red and painful and they hurt. Pharaoh was so mean and he said, no. A plague, a plague. God continued the campaign with hail and thunder and mighty rain. There'd never been a worse event. It looked like Pharaoh might relent. So they thought, oh my gosh, there's never been such a bad storm with all this hail, which is like big rocks of ice coming out of the sky. And they thought Pharaoh would finally say, okay, okay. But when Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh, our God says, let my people go. Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. You see the hail falling out of the sky? The lightning strike. A plague, a plague, a plague. Now God sent down a new command, and Moses with his outstretched hand sent hungry locusts through the land. Said Pharaoh, this I cannot stand. Leave Egypt now as you have planned. Look at the locusts. They eat all the crops. They're eating all their vegetables and fruits. Oh no. It's another kind of bug, and when they come, they eat a whole field all at once. But when the people packed to go, Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. A plague, a plague. Then Egypt had 3 days of night, while Israelites enjoyed God's light. So Egypt was dark for 3 whole long days. Oh, Pharaoh, so Pharaoh tired of the fight. He said, wives and children all can go. You cannot take your livestock though. So he said, all the women and children, they can leave. And you have to leave all your cows and horses and all your animals behind. He really didn't mean it so. And soon he was still shouting, no, no, no. So he wasn't being serious. And they're in the dark. The Israelites are here in the light. They were in the dark for 3 days. And he couldn't stand it. The sun never came. But then he said, no, no, no. A plague, a plague. God through Moses said, beware, this plague is bad beyond compare. Death to every firstborn son, from royal born to the poorest one. Oh, but sons of Israel I will spare, so listen now, you must prepare. Uh-oh. So they said that each household, their firstborn son, that they would go to God and they wouldn't keep their little baby boys. And Pharaoh was saying, no, 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 no. And as God struck this final blow, Pharaoh shouted, just go, go, go. So all the people packed up with their stuff. They took their belongings, put them with the horses, carried their stuff in baskets. And here they are, traveling to go. And they're so happy. And remember, they carried with them, they left so quickly, they carried with them the dough they would have had for their bread for Shabbat. But they could not make it in the stove or the oven, or they could not bake it to make it hot. And they did not get to put the ingredients all in to make it rise. So when it got hot and they didn't have bread, they pulled it out and could only make what? Matzah, because it did not rise. And so for Passover, we eat matzah instead of challah, right? So all the plagues are in that story. And all we know is that King Pharaoh really wanted to keep the people from leaving Egypt. So we celebrate the people getting to leave and be free and be on their own and love their family and take their animals and do what they wanted to do instead of working for King Pharaoh. So I wish all of you a happy, very different, beautiful Passover this year. And we have so much to actually be thankful for, and spending time with one another to care for each other and take care of one another. And if you want to hear more stories, message me. Let me know what you want to hear, and we will try to make it happen. All right, love you guys.